Hello, and in this course we will build a README generator PHP. So we'll use actually the Symfony console library, so this one actually. And with that library, we will simply build a README generator terminal command. It will be really powerful, and you will see, I'm sure you will really enjoy it, because it's always nice, and it's always annoying to create README files for your GitHub project, and it's always nice to just have a simple command program just to generate, and to generate in a good way with good arguments our README file. So let's create a project in PHP Storm, and we'll call it PHP README generator CLI. The name is just for now. After we can still rename it. In our project, we will just first initiate Composer to create a composer.json file. So we do Composer init. If you don't have Composer installed yet, I suggest you just to type Composer installation, and you will have PHP, that's console, Composer, and you will have all the instruction here to install it. So like if you're on Mac or Windows, or if you're on Linux, it's quite straightforward actually. And the download page, it's here, so you will have to execute this script. You will need PHP first, and then you will be able to install Composer. So for us, we will generate our composer.json file. So first, package name. For me, I will change it a little bit. First, my vendor name, I want to be PH7. Because actually, I don't know if you have seen here, my vendor name is this one, PH7, so I will reuse the same. I want to keep it consistent. And then PHP README generator. I don't need to mention that actually it's a PHP README generator. I could, yeah, I will actually. Why not? Generator. README generator file. README file. Yeah, let's leave that name for now. Let's press enter. Now, description, a simple way to generate. You don't need to mention a description, but it's always a better way to, it's always a good idea to mention a description, and this will also help when someone will look for a package on packagelist. If there is a name, so if I type, I don't know, README generator, if there is a description, it will help the people looking for a package similar to yours to find yours. So a simple way to generate GitHub README file. Yes, that's it for now. Also, yes. Minimum stability, I would say stable. I can leave it empty as well. So minimum stability. Sometimes when you don't know what's the, what value you should add, if you just search, and you will see the different possibilities actually. So for us, it's minimum stability. Okay, so you see it here, and it's in the root of the file, and for us, the default is stable anyway. So yes, we can just leave it stable. Package type for us, it's a library. No, actually it's a project, because our README generator file will be just a project. It won't be a library. A library is something that it will be used in another library. Like I have a library for, I don't know, to generate QR code. That library, that package, it's a library because it will be used in a different package. For us here, it's just a project. So press enter. License, I will set MIT. And would you like to define dependency? Actually, yes, because I will actually use the Symfony console package, which is this one. So we just write console. Let's see if it finds it. Normally it should. You see Symfony console. So we press enter. No, okay. 5.3, yes, that's normally, yes, that's the latest version. Search for a package, we don't need anymore. Actually, dev dependency, yes, it will be PHP unit. So I just said yes, PHP unit. That will be actually to test our library. Leave it blank because, you know, I want the latest version. And actually I want another one which will be fake, I think, is to mock actually some classes. It will be really easy actually for testing our console library to mock some classes. So it's actually this library. So I mentioned that one. Leave it blank. 4.1. It's actually I think here maybe on GitHub they didn't. They just created a release for that one, but maybe they created a tag for 4.1. It's here. So yeah, perfect. And no, I don't need another package. Okay, SRC sounds good. I will just you can actually rename it later on. So let's press enter for now. And does it sound good for you? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Would you like to install dependency now? Yes. Why not? So by default, it's always yes. When it's in curly brackets, it means if you press enter without any values, it will be a yes. So now that's it. It's done for now. I will now first create some files we need for our project to set up our project well. So first we need git ignore. It's just to ignore the files we don't need to commit, we don't want to commit. So first of all, I will just initiate git because I will set my project as a git project. So git init. So that way I will be able to commit my code and I will be able even to push my code to a Git hosting repository. In my case, I will use GitHub. And once that's done, I want to actually have a Git Ignore file to ignore the basic PHP files of a project I don't need. This is actually a handy plugin for PHP Storm, which is this one, .ignore, and we can actually generate a ignore file really easily. So let's install that one first. If you use a different IDE, don't worry. You might be able to find a different plugin. I mean, a similar plugin for your IDE. If you don't find it, it's okay. You will just have to find it on GitHub. So if you type GitHub php.gitignore, you will find it. So I mean, you will find the appropriate Git Ignore file for your PHP project. So first we'll install that one. We just need to restart our IDE. Perfect. For now, continue evaluating, and normally the plugin is installed. So I will just, as you can see here, it's really easy. It's really easy to use it. We'll just have to create a file, and we'll have to select Git Ignore. So here I will do the same, new, and you see Git Ignore File, and here I will be able to select, so for me it's for Git, so Ignore File, exclude, okay, so that one, and then I will actually select the language. For me it will be PHP. It's just a normal PHP project, so think PHP, so to be the language, so let's search that way, element op ppp. For some reason I don't see it. Yeah, that's funny. Yes, so I might have, it's funny, it's not here. So maybe if I just type Symfony, yeah, we'll use Symfony package, because actually I will use a Symfony package. So we'll use the Symfony Ignore file, because somehow just PHP is not present here, as you can see, but that's okay. So let's generate that one. We can add it as a commit. I mean, we just add it in, we just add that file. Oh no, yeah, it's added here, and after we can just commit it. So beautiful. So that's actually what the plugin does. After we can continue updating it. I think if you just go to GitHub PHP Git Ignore, you might find the generic one for PHP. Or maybe it's actually there's none, because here PHP, maybe, yeah, there's no specific one for PHP. That might be possible. So GitHub, and that's the reason why I couldn't find just PHP plugin. Yeah, no, actually, you see, you don't have any. If you just even go to PHP, yeah, that's okay, actually. It's fine. Let's keep that one for now, and we'll update it later on. So actually, I will just do a quick cleanup here for our Git Ignore file, because I just realized there's still a bunch of files we don't need. I will remove build, and we don't need it for now. PHP unit, that's okay actually. So build entity we want. So yes, let's remove this. Web upload we don't need. Vendor, that's fine. We don't need that one. Console, that's fine. Trap var, we can remove that one. Here you can remove as well that one. Session and cache, no we don't. Email, folder we don't. App, and that we don't. And I will just add this one. So vendor, we had vendor already, so I will just remove vendor. Composer, well, we have composer, so we just, if you don't want to commit composer.log, you can add it here. And php unit.cache, I'll just add it here. Beautiful. So actually we don't need a slash here. So let's do that way. Yeah, don't need that one. With app and ID, that one I can set in the bottom, and that's for the log. I can do that way. Composer. Okay, that sounds quite good. Is what we need. Beautiful. So this is actually our final Git Ignore file. So the reason I think why there was no Git Ignore file by default for PHP is because by default PHP you don't really need, you don't have to compile PHP. There is no really by default cache files or whatsoever. So that's why there is no reason to have a Git Ignore file for PHP by default. Like Python, you always have PYC file, and the same for Java, you have the .class file and the compiled file for those languages, but for PHP actually you don't. So this is the reason why you don't have by default a Git Ignore file. So yeah, that will be our Git Ignore file. So just so you know. So right now we are creating a class. The name of the class is generator.php. So you will have a class here in Markdown, generator, and in generator.php. It's a main class actually that will handle all the commands you will have in your terminal for what you want to enter to generate your readme.md file. So Symfony works that way. You have actually you have to extend your class from comment, and you will have a configure method that actually is different. So that's the comment.php Symfony class, and if you search for configure, here it is. So that's a class we want to extend from. So I will have my configure class. Actually we overwrite that function, that method, we overwrite it in our parent class where we extend from the comment Symfony class. And here you mention just the name of the comment, and then you can add options. So an option is like this. So when you are typing in your terminal, that's actually, this is exactly an option. And you can also do add, let me just have a look. So you have add option and add argument. So add argument is just like the comment name. So in our case, it will be like generate, and then argument is just this. And an option is this one. Option, it's a flag actually, option name, and then you will have a value. And for us, it will be, we won't use argument because they are less readable, because we don't, if you have like the name of the readme file and then the heading and then the description, it's not really readable. However, if we have title, my file, and then heading, my heading, and then we'll have description, and then the description of the file is much more readable, you see. So here you see, for instance, for my different options, description, so I just use actually desk because it's easier. And you see you have actually 4 values in add option. So if you look here, the 4 values, the first is your name, the shortcut, actually the shortcut, they mention it here. So the shortcut can be null, a string, or shortcut delimited by a pipe or no end of shortcuts, but we don't need it. The mode, so the mode for us is just value required because it's a required option. And then the description, so for us the description will be this. And finally, which is quite handy, you have default. So you can actually have a default value. So that means for us, if we want by default, like in my case, if I want by default, well, my name, I will maybe actually use a class default value. I might create actually a class. I will just create a class here for the moment called default value. Just here, I will set my class final. So you know it will be just constant, and I don't need that class to be extended from other classes. And I will just use const name, and my name will be, well, my name. So here, and I will set like this, and I will just import my class. So I will just use PS7. You see, if you see the namespace, is just that one. That's the namespace. So I will reuse this one, and then backslash default value, and the default value will be the name, and that will be my author name. And you can do the same for the email. So it's always nice to write it in in a constant, because when you write in constants, it's you know, you don't hard code the values in the class. You can also use a env file, or you can use different kind of config file such as .ini file, but for us we just stick with a with constants in a class. So here I will use email, and my email I will simply put well, my email, and actually I need semicolon here. So and you can actually just do this as well with PHP 7.1. You can actually set visibility, so access visibility, to constant. So in my case, I will have as a default value, so default value colon email. So for the description, no, I don't. But for some values, it's nice to have a default. For some options, it's nice to have a default value. For the heading, for the project name, of course, it will always change. But for email or author name, well, usually it's always the same author name or email we will use when we will generate our README file. So for YouTube, you can just update name and email value with your own name and with your own email address. Okie dokie. So here, actually, in the execute method, we will ask questions to the user. So when we will execute our program in the terminal, instead of just having a lot of flags, so this is flag, a lot of parameters, I think it's a better solution to ask questions. So on Symfony, if you see here, they have a nice helper, and that question helper has to be done in the execute level and not in the configure level. So we'll do it here. So we have a helper, get question, and so you can see right here that we can have a lot of different questions. Fortunately, the documentation for Symfony console is quite good of Symfony, because Symfony is not the best for the documentation, and sometimes it's a bit outdated. But this one here on this URL, I'm not sure if you see it, but if you just type on Google, if you just type here this keyword on Google, so Symfony console question, you will directly find it. And we can even have questions, choose questions, so that will be really good for our license, because for the license, you know, we'll suggest to them to choose different kind of license. So choose question, we'll have to import that one, which is this one, as you can see. And so I will just import it here. After, you can actually, in PHP Storm, you can do codes, and you can do where is it? Where it is optimization imports. So it will sort it in alphanumeric order. So you know, P first, then S, and alphanumeric. So C, C, I, Q, and so on. So here, so we have the question, please select a license. We'll do a license, and here we'll have like MIT license, GPL v3, for instance, or just GPL for now. We'll make it simple. So GPL, what else? For instance, of a license, you can have I see, is it that one? I will just have a look. I see license, which is really similar to yes, it's really similar to MIT, and it's actually the default one for when you generate a new package.json with npm. ISC will be the default one. And what else can you have? The GPL, yes, BSD, for instance. BSD is also a good one. Oops. BSD license. Okie dokie. So that one. It's also a good one actually. And you know, you have a lot of different ones, but let's have first those 3 licenses for now. And you see, it's quite easy actually to create different questions, and then you can even set an error if it's not correct. You know, you have a lot of different parameters. You can also, where I've seen that, set auto computer callback, set multi-line, you see, set hidden. What else you have? You have a lot. You know, see, set max attempts. That's actually an interesting one. So if you see here, you can set a max number of times to ask with the set max attempts method. If you reach this max number, it will use the default value. So yeah, that can also be useful. But first, we don't need this. And however, we will have a default value. So here again, you can see the third parameter is a default. So by default, it will be, let's say, MIT. So again, we can use the function, the class we were doing here, default value, and it will be for the license, like this. Beautiful. And in that class, we will create a public constant. The name will be license, and it will be MIT, exactly like this. Okie dokie. So here we'll import Symfony component console question to ask questions, and I actually created this new method, and in that method we just return the question prompt, so that it's exactly like here. You know, you ask a question and then you get the question value of what the user asked from the prompt in the terminal. So here you, from ask function here, you get actually the value of the question. So here you ask the question to in the terminal, you ask it, and then you can retrieve the value from there. So here we just create a function that will just returns a question object. So it will be question actually. The return type is not integer, it will be question. And so here you have, if you check ask, oh yeah, that's a helper, so you can't go inside of the function for now, but that's the one. For the license, we'll do something really similar. So we will also just do a private method, and we call it prompt license. We will set the return. So the return type is this choice question, and it will be really similar to the one for the license, except it will return a license. So the variable will be here different $license, and here it will be for the license, as you can see. Beautiful. So we have that one, that will be for later on. What else can we get? So now we don't need this as an option, because we'll actually ask it as a prompt in the terminal instead of having this in a flag, because before we had as an option, which is a flag. Actually, it's like this title. So here, to be the same for the name of the author, we'll also do with a prompt, and we do the same for the heading of the README file as well, after the author name. So author name will be a string, so it won't be a question, it won't be a choice question, but just a question. So here, that will be the difference, and that's, oh, 1 second, I will just check for choice question. You have, oh yeah, that's normal. And for the question, I'm just looking for the parameter if it's correct, because yes, I think we don't need a name. So here actually we don't need this, I believe. If you check in the signature, you see you just have the question as a default, because now, since it's not a parameter anymore, but it's a prompt, and we'll get the value when it returns from the ask function. We don't need the name of the prompt anymore, because we get the value from here. But before, when it was with add option, you would get the value with the name of this one. So that's why here it's a bit different. So you have this. Beautiful. So you can actually, we will just do like author name, and author name. Beautiful. And here it should be author. If you check here, a name, actually I will just actually rename it to author, so it makes more sense, it's more consistent. And I will do the same for heading. So the description actually we also need. And do they ask if it's required? Do we have, I think it's kind of always required. We can have a look, but we don't have that option here with the question. So we do the same with the that's the heading. So heading, we don't have a value for that one, and it will just return again, and the same here. And so we do the same here for the description. It will be actually here. The name will be just that. Easy peasy. So you see, it will be exactly like that. So here we have now the license, email. Actually, email, yeah, let's leave it here. And we'll have two more, which will be description. And here it will be prompt description. Actually, I have to rename this one. as description and prompt heading. So we can we have that's a description, and the other one will be for the author. You see, bit per bit, we are almost there. Author and heading. You see, beautiful. It's unbelievable because now it's the night in the public park where I am actually. I'm in a public park in Adelaide, and as you can see, it's really beautiful. There's a lake just next to me. It's lovely. I love to code in a public, in public places. I think it's really good. So description, author, beautiful. So you have author, you have description, you have heading. Lovely. I'm just checking if I didn't misspell anything. Also, we have default value. And yes, I wanted also to show you that before we needed a name of the field, because before it wasn't question, so it was a parameter. It was set up. You see, before we had, oops, I will actually rename. Yeah, before we had set option. Oh, and now we have that one as a prompt, so I can remove that one. We might just leave the title of the project. That can still be as a parameter. But before we had this, and why we needed a name for set option. So actually, if you check the way how they retrieve it, they use get option. And the get option with the name of the, when you are adding an option, it will used to get the value of the parameter when you are here. You see like this, when you are like that. But now we get the value with a variable from the prompt. So that's why in our case now it's different. Let's continue where we are. So our script right now looks like this. So actually I split more and more functions. So you can see now we have author variable and email and license. Everything is wrapped actually in their own function, and we return always the object. So either choose question or question. So we just return that new object. So we do return new and the name of the class. Here for final confirmation, yes, that will be the name. I will leave the name as it is. And that function actually is a boolean, and it will return either true if the person says yes, actually. So it will be like this, ask, return true. Otherwise it will be false, ask question. So let's just have a look here if we have ask confirmation. It was somewhere in the doc. Confirmation question. Oh, no, I don't see it anymore. But if we just go to the signature, oh, I think I have to import it. Oh yes, I didn't import it. I think I have a small issue with my PHP Storm right now. So I will try to import it manually because it must be a configuration issue. This happens quite often. So I mean, quite often, it's the first time it happens for me. But if you have some configuration issue, you might check the permission, or I don't know, or in the settings, because normally when you do command enter, you can automatically import a function that here you could just import it. But right now, option enter, and then normally you can just import the class. So hopefully for you it might work that way. and confirmation question. What does it do? So that's a class. So we can see the check if it's a boolean. So if it returns the answer, that's a private. It's a private function. Get default normalizer, and so boolean default true or false. So reject match. So in my case, I believe we just if it's true, then we return true. We can even then do this. That will be even easier because we don't need to have the check. So let's leave as this for now. Return mixed. Because we expect a boolean, we might just cast here as a boolean. And that's it for now. So you see there are a lot of different questions. And here, finally, that's new as well. We have ask. So here it's for the path. So maybe let's do, path. Path, I think is okay name. We get again from this prompt, that's a new prompt, and the destination file is actually this one, is the default destination file. We might leave as blank. I don't know. Yeah, maybe for the moment we don't need a default destination file. It's up to you actually. And so that one will return just the destination file. So here we have the path, and it will be used here when we save it. And file builder. So we generate actually, we try to generate in this new class you haven't seen before. So it's in the same markdown folder. You just create a new class called build, and here we have a few class attributes. All of the attributes are string type. So you have the title, the heading, the description of the README file, author name, email, author email, and license. I can even change to license type. And so it's more clear, it's more explicit. License type, because those variables will be used in the README file. So I think it's better to actually have clear names because it will be used here. For the moment, it's empty. It's just README template. We might move somewhere else. At the moment, it's also in the markdown folder, but maybe we'll use it. We will move it somewhere else. So you see, we just assign all the attributes to the default ones from an array, because in the constructor we just expect an array, and the name is data. Maybe it's not the best variable name, but let's, for now I think data it's okay. And so we just compile it. So after, at the end in the constructor, we are calling compile file. Actually now, yes, it's actually get contents. Oh no, that one made sense. Let me see. Actually, no, we don't have to call any function. So we are just doing this. And after, if you have a look in the generator file, after that, with the same class, so we have the file, we are creating file builder object, and after we call save method. And the save method is just actually creating and adding the content of the file with the path. It's kind of simple. Actually, we can even do a check in the generator for the path. We can do if file exists. So file exists. That function is checking if either a folder, a directory, or a file exists. I know the name is file exists, so but it works also for folder. It's because in Linux system there's no a folder and the file is actually the same. So here we just do path, and we are checking if the path is correct, then we can save it. And if it's not correct, if the path doesn't exist, we can return an error. I will see. I think we can. Let's see what kind of error can we give. Are we able to send a specific error? That's for the arguments. Symfony question. So that's a one. I don't have. Yeah, that's a one. So with a question, you can throw a different error. So here we can just we can even actually do normally something like this error, because we have variables like this, and we can say file doesn't path doesn't exist. It works with you have different tags, so you have info, error, and success. I think path doesn't exist, and then you can do return failure. Beautiful, like this. So by the way, I just wanted to let you know that the error message we just set here, it's actually not correct, because we don't do echo, but we have to use output. So output from this object here, output interface, and we need write ln, which is with a new space. So ln will just add a new space, new line at the end. And write is without a new line at the end. Actually, usually you will tend to have, normally you will always want a new line at the end of the message. So we'll just use this method, and here we just need, so for us it's an error message, and we can just have path doesn't exist. So it has to be that way. So here we just do this, and you don't do echo at all. So yes, exactly like that. And because we have, or we can just do backslash here from because we have a apostrophe. So it will look like this now. And for the success, when the file is saved, we can just have the same, but normally you have success variable as well, and we'll do you can just have info. Actually, info is fine too, and file successfully saved at, and then you will have the name of the path, which is here, this one. So here we do a concatenation, we use concatenation operator. So it will look exactly like this, at and the path, and then success. Concerning the style color when you output a message, actually my bad, because I told you that you have success as well. You don't actually, you have info, comment, question, and error, but actually you don't have success. So just if you wrote success in the tag, just change it to info, which is actually the same, because info, I know it's a bit confusing, but it will be a green text, like, like a success message. So for the license, we can actually change the default choice question we have, because by default Symfony will give a message. So if we go to the doc here, you actually have the method which is set error message, you see, and when you have a choice question, you can just amend the default error message. Symfony speaks about it here, and if the user enters an invalid string, so an error message is shown to the user to provide the correct one. But actually, you can change and redefine your own error message, which we will do now because it will make more sense for us. So it will do exactly like this. So what we will do is here, let's do question. And here we just do question, please select a valid license type, and then we will return a question. Exactly like that, you see, because actually this is the same object. So you can see here, you have question, just show it to you. So question, so where are we? Okay, it's here. Question, then set error message, and then we use the question object in the ask method. So if you go here, it will just reuse, because since this one prompt license just returns, it will just return the question object. So it will be exactly like here, where the question is here, and then it will redefine the error message, and then we will give the question object in the ask method. So for the path, for the error, I think a better idea would just to change a little bit the message, and actually I will just use sprintf to have something nicer. I will set a parameter here, which will be the string, and the path name will be here. So sprint opt, sprint, okie dokie. Apparently I have a typo in the function name sprintf actually, because that's sprint, because one sprint, I think yes, printf returns the value, and printf, it will just it will do the format, but it will just echo it. So for us it will be printf. I don't know why, for some reason I was misspelling the name. So sprintf, sorry. And for the success message, we'll also do printf, and the path will be here as well. And we'll just use a string with a string, and it will replace with a path. So does Symfony actually have this by default? I don't know. Let's have a look. It's output interface. Let's see if they have something like that. But I don't think so. Right, Ellen. Sprintf. Apparently they don't, because still already some people already use sprintf. I haven't seen it, to be honest, in the doc. So let's leave as it is now. And that's the name of the path. And for the success message, which is info, but it will return as green in the terminal. It will be like exactly like this. So actually here for the README template, I will move it to a folder, which it will be view. So I already have it. So in Markdown, you have a view folder now, and you will just put the README template inside. And in the build class, you will just add view slash readme view.md. Actually, I will also add a dir directory constant. It's a default directory from PHP. So actually the dir constant PHP. Before you only had file actually, but now you have dir since PHP 5.3 perhaps. Apparently I'm not in the right page. So PHP magic constants, here it is, and dir, so we'll use that one, the dir directory. But yeah, dir directory, before if you go to really old project, you will see file. But since PHP, I think it's 5.3, but it's not really important nowadays because nowadays anyone has PHP 5.3 or PHP 5.2. Anyways, so in our case, we'll do just dir and then the path, and we'll also rename actually build to builder because you have generator. So to be consistent, we'll just rename the class to builder, and we'll just rename it here. So you do refactor, rename, and builder like this. And normally PHP Storm will automatically rename it when you do refactor rename. It will automatically rename it as well in the parent, in the class where it is used, but not here, as you can see. Sometimes it does, and it will ask you to rename it, but for some reason, I think it's because I renamed the class first before, so there was an issue, so it didn't rename it. But that's fine, you can just rename it here in the generator class. So now we have builder and we have a view folder. So for your information, I changed a lot of the application, the PHP README generator CLI application we are building. It's because it's actually really normal. You know, the life of an application, the life cycle of an application changes all the time. Always, 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 because we have so many iterations over and over during the time of the application, of the development of the application. That's why we have to refactor the code so many times. Usually the first version is actually the version we think about, so we draft it, and the first version is not the most clean version, it's not the cleanest, it's not that readable, it's not really clean code. However, it works. And then the second version, we try to refactor some code to make it better, and so on and so on and so on. Unless you use a agile methodology such as a Kanban board, for instance, then you can plan better the development of your application, and you can split into really small tickets, so really small tasks, and then it will be much easier to code really clean code from day one. But if you're just alone, and it's actually really fine to just code a draft version and then to refactor it into a better code. The iteration, we have so many versions of our application. So iterations, application, cycle development. Let's have a look for this keyword. Oh, I don't have internet. Oops. I'm sorry, I think I don't have internet right now. Let me just enable it, so it will be fine. I was swimming just before, so actually it might be funny for you, but this is why actually I have a swimsuit on me. You will see it. You see? So don't worry actually. numbed, right? But I still have my swimsuit on me. I was swimming on this a swimming pool actually in the building apartments where I am. So that's why. So iteration, iteration. Wait, let's just obviously sometimes we are looking for word iteration. Oh, I think it's because I had a N. So iteration. Okay, that's a word we are looking for. So programming cycle. And this is what we are doing. And this is normally like the normal cycle, the classic cycle of the way how you develop an application. Let's see what changed. So first, I installed a package. It was I'm not on the page anymore, but if I go to Composer packages.org, and I search for PHP Gravatar, I will find it. It's that one, and this is the application we installed. You see, and so thanks to that application in our builder class, we will just created this function. So that function is private. It will return a string, and it will actually generate the URL of an of an image if we receive, if that email is a Gravatar email. Otherwise, it will be just a default Gravatar. the placeholder Gravatar image, but I think it's nice to have a Gravatar image. So we can use Gravatar image. That will be the name of the variable. I used colon and colon here because I could use curly bracket as well, but because with README, with the markdown syntax in our README file, we use also square bracket. So I believe it's better for us to use colon instead. So here I will actually change to Gravatar image. It's nice to be precise in your variable names. So at least you avoid some confusions. So here Gravatar image, and that one actually is a new function, a new method, a new static method I created in the license class. So now we have a license class here, and in this license we have all the codes of the license, the possible licenses that are coded here in this prompt. And so here it will just get the URL of each license. You can actually also store you can store the URL as well. Later on we'll store it in probably in a new array. But so this one, it will be used to generate the license link, and here we'll generate the Gravatar image. So that was for the license link, and now Gravatar image. And in our template here, I changed quite a lot actually of what it shows and it displays. So now we have the title, description, requirement, how to install it. I don't need. I use this template. It's from because I built already a package for npm, for Node, and is available with npm. That's JavaScript version, but I won't copy paste. You see, it's a bit similar, especially for the way it generates the license. but for when it generates the README file, you see everything is dynamic because we have variable and everything. So that's why I took this README sample from another project, and that project, it's actually the Gravatar one as well. So I just took it from here, like that. And this is what you see here. I already removed a bunch of values and paragraphs we don't need. A lot of paragraphs we don't need because, like here, you know, the code samples, the snippets we see, but we can just do like, we can just add an HTML comment, add what you need here. You can do this. So it will be for the user to fulfill this field. Because we don't really know, actually it's harder to ask them with the prompt of the terminal. And the other section will be that I will see what I did for my class here about also website. So, oh yes, I will ask actually the website in the prompt. So what did I do here? I chose website. I will just go to the cmd, the comment file, and it chose website. Yeah, so it will be just your personal web page. In generator, we'll ask it here. I mean, let's create a new function here, and the name will be prompt website homepage. Let's say homepage URL, web page, homepage URL for now. So it will be also web page, your personal web page, yes. Field exception. So yeah, that's the exception we have. Please mention your web. It's not actually, it's optional. That one will be optional. We don't want to, yeah, you know, if the person doesn't have a URL, that's fine. I mean, actually no, because in the README it might be more difficult. So let's try to make it like, please mention your homepage, or yeah, your homepage. Can you website etc, perfect. GitHub, yes. So here to be web page, perfect. And we can actually add it here. Just here actually, web page after the email. And we do that way. Beautiful. So yes, I think that's it for that one, and it will be used here as well. So web page, perfect. So now in our builder class, we can actually do web page. Perfect. And here, it should be also web page actually, to be consistent with the other fields, because it's actually the web page of the author. So private string, nice. And here we do this also web page equals or no curly brackets, like here, web page. Nice, beautiful. So yeah, this looks good. Let's go to the README and also URL. Sounds like change to also URL. And yes, let's do that. And then for Twitter, how did I do it before in the Node version? But website. Let's keep that one for now because oh yeah, otherwise I will still mention it maybe. But what happens if no one has a Twitter or doesn't want to mention the Twitter? The GitHub account, yeah, that would make sense because yeah, normally you would have a GitHub account, so it will be so as you can see here, GitHub image, and the GitHub URL. So actually we do that. GitHub URL, GitHub. Let's see later on. And GitHub URL. It will be here. We do GitHub username. Perfect. And so username, perfect. So here again the same. We do here actually, yeah. Let's do that. This. And GitHub username. Perfect. Is it the same? Yes. So yeah, that looks also URL. Actually, I will use a dash instead. It looks nicer like this, especially in the README. I believe, yeah, it looks better. So let's do that. Also URL. Also URL. Nice. GitHub username. Beautiful. That looks good. The Twitter will remove for now. So GitHub URL, GitHub username. Yeah, nice. So now we just need to add it here as well, like like here. And let's do GitHub as a prompt. It will be the same IP. Nice. So we will create a new function here, probably. Again, GitHub. GitHub username. What did I do, by the way? I forgot what I did in the previous class. I will just have a look if I did something for asking the GitHub. No, just GitHub account. Yeah, which is the same actually. Awesome. That looks good. And yes. So GitHub, it's here. Go back to generator. Yeah, it matches. GitHub key, the array. And here, GitHub username. Beautiful. And in our markdown template, it's the same. Perfect. So now here with the prompt GitHub, I just found an issue with the arguments here. Actually, it has to be IO instead, because if you check on the signature, I will actually move it up here. I think it's more consistent because prompt license has more than one argument and it's not IO, it's helper input and output. So move prompt license at the bottom, and you see the signature of prompt GitHub is just Symfony style, and we use $IO for the variable. So that's fixed now, and in builder I will actually change in the generator. I will because at the moment the title, the name of my readme, you mentioned the name of the readme as an argument. I think I will do everything as a prompt. It will probably be better for title, prompt name, maybe name. Let's change to name. And here we have, so I will have to change just the argument. We were asking for the title, the name of the readme. Let's move up, it's here. So I will just remove this. You see it was project name. Actually, I will just copy paste that one because I will reuse it after. And now we will create a new function, and so the name of the function will be almost the same as the prompt heading, except we are, I will just fix the indentation. Perfect. Oops, actually, it's not automatic right now with my ID. There's a little issue and I'm a little bit lazy to fix it right now, but I will do it for the next video. So here it's so now we have instead project name. Mention the mention a name for your readme, name for your project actually, and I will add a smiley. I think it's fun. Okay, and that sounds okay. So here to be name. project name, and so we'll call actually the project name here instead. Here it will be oops, no, sorry, it will be here. So project name, prompt name, yeah, prompt name. So here we have name instead. Awesome. So that's the title, project name. To make it consistent, actually I will change name here as well. And so in the builder class, we title, yeah, let's do name, title, name. I mean, it's actually the project name, so project name, I think that makes more sense. Variable names, is really important to name your variable in a clear and readable way. Otherwise, after you will be confused and you might have issues or errors just because the name is not clear, and maybe even other devs think it's something else, and that's then you will have issues in the future, and we don't want that. So that's why we want to rename everything as clear as possible. So title, project name instead, project and name. Perfect. Here I still need to change that one also with author name. So we have the author name here. You see, it's actually, no, I already did a mistake because it's author. I will do, yeah, I will rename it to name as well here. Author name. And probably there as well. Yeah, it was already the case here. So let's rename author to author name. Replace all, perfect. And now that sounds better. We can also replace here to author name. Let's have no. Okay, I don't have my name anymore. That's good. Passionate. GitHub. Good. That sounds good. I can even do. Yeah, no, I will add because you can even add, a comment to say generated by the name of the project. Here to be my project, so generated by README github.com/. You can even do something like that. But yes. Description, requirements. I mean, that is nice actually. So people that look at the source code of the README, they will see, oh yes, the README was actually created by that tool. So we'll maybe use it. And this is a bit a growth hack, and it helps to have kind of organic growth. But you have to mention, yeah. So I mean, you just mention as a comment, so the people that look in the source code and are interested because they maybe think the see. Anyways, so I think I will also. So now we have a prompt, GitHub, Gravatar, GitHub username. What else we might want? Requirements, how to install it, how to use it. Because, yeah, do we mention the requirement? Maybe I will also do as a prompt here, requirements, and here I will have requirements, and so here we will do the same. This it will be requirements probably, or maybe project requirements. Again, that's maybe more clear, and I will move it up by order, so description, and now we have project requirement. So here as well, same order, description, perfect, and here it will be done here. And there maybe just requirement. However, yes, I will change to project requirement, and actually I will add, we missed to property here is not required, but otherwise they are public name, we don't have it, and Gravatar, we renamed it, so we have to change as well that one. Gravatar image, license type, we have the license links as well, so private string license link. Also web page, it did change as well, as you can see. Oh no, that's the same. My bad. So also name, also email. Actually, also name, also email. Description, and here I will have private string. I will have actually the project requirements. Description, heading, and here it's name actually, it's project name. Actually, I think requirement, I will just leave as requirement just because the heading, the description is not project. Yeah, I think we don't need to have two suffix with project because it's quite obvious. And to me, it's a little bit too long for this particular case. I mean, yeah, it sounds a little bit too long. So heading and project name. So you see, you can, yeah, we have all of them. Usually your ID will tell you if you don't mention the property in, you know, as if you didn't declare the attribute of the class here, they will mention to you. But right now, in my case, I have a little issue with my ID, so that's why actually, yeah, my ID is a bit dumb right now. But yes, so that's done actually. We're done. We'll continue after. So by the way, I just wanted to let you know that ID, I mentioned ID, and in case you don't know, ID, it's a integrated development environment. So this is what is an ID. And now we need to update our library, you know, the Gravatar library, because we were already using the right namespace, but there was an issue in the library that the namespace wasn't right. So here actually I just released a new version 1.1 because as you can see, yeah, the caps wasn't right. So just update the library. You can just copy paste this one and I should, yes, and that's it actually, and the library will be updated. And now we are able to use our library. You see the class exists, which is amazing, and so we won't have any issues with it. Actually, there was a little issue in the builder class. I noticed there was a typo in project name, so you can just make sure that here you have project name project because I think I did a little typo in the variable, and the same actually for the requirements. So make sure that all the properties here have the same names than the one we declared here. And finally, in our in our generator file, I just also created another method, which is prompt requirements. So prompt requirements is again exactly almost the same as prompt description. So we have, we just ask requirement or installation. What's the requirement to install that library, and that's it actually. That's for our library. So now we can actually, I think there's an issue with the gravatar. The gravatar variable is gravatar image, and I noticed that in the markdown file, it's not gravatar image, it's just gravatar. So let's replace to gravatar image. So we have gravatar image, yes. So now let's try to run it. Actually, I already tried once and it was working well. So let's do it. So project name, my project, heading to be some headings, description for my project, and then installation requirements. Well, PHP 7.1 or higher, you can do that, you see. So yes, let's do this. Also name, so you can just mention your name. Email, we can validate our email. I mean, we can make sure that it's a valid email or not, but I think it's nice to leave the flexibility for anyone to, not to have a valid email address, because then we can just do something like that to prevent spam. Some people prefer to do something like this, .me. And if we check if the email address is valid or not, we won't be able to do that. So I think it's nice to leave the flexibility for the person who runs the script to, to put whatever they want and not necessarily a valid email address. So web page, again, I'm not sure. I think we shouldn't validate the URL. So again, sometimes, we can just do without HTTPS. So for me to be this, GitHub username, okay, and then the license to be MIT, perfect, yes. Path destination with me file, so you can actually mention the path you wish. So here actually for the path, you can mention what you wish. However, if you see here what we have, that's the path. So if path is null, so if it's not a string, because this one will return null, it will be by default the TMP. That will be the path, and the file name will be always the same file name. At the moment, we don't allow anyone to change the file name. We can actually, but not for now. So actually the README will be generated inside of the TMP folder. So for me to be the default one, that's why I didn't mention anything for the path destination. And now my README is here. So let's have a look. If you check on the TMP folder, you see I have my README, and yes, here it is. So that's my README. As you can see, as there are still some little issue here for the GitHub image, and I think for oh no, that is because my email address wasn't right. So maybe we should validate the email address, because otherwise, since I have my email address, where is it? Because I mentioned something like this as email, and so yes, the gravatar is not exactly valid, so we can fix that. And GitHub image, Yeah, that's actually Markdown reference link. So maybe we want to use also name URL. If I do this, I think there's an extra square bracket here, probably. There's an issue. Let's have a look. GitHub URL. GitHub image. That's fine. The problem. It's not this. I will check actually what I have on my previous project, like here, how I did it. Let's have a look on the README, just to see for the image. You see, it was exactly like this. So, oops, it didn't paste. Perfect. So that's correct. So that's fine actually. Oh, I think it's the username, probably. And we can, yeah, so that one can be replaced by this. That's still okay. And probably, yeah, the username didn't, it didn't work, the replacement of the username. So if you check in here, we have GitHub username, and there was probably an issue. We said author, and no, it's here. Probably, yes. So what we will have instead, it's something like that. And obviously, so we just need to replace here. You see, sometimes the replacement is not correct. So it's nice always to check. So here it will be like this, and that should work. So now let's quickly check if this works. And it should do actually. So generator, again, project name, my project, for instance, heading, some, headings. That will be like a kind of a small heading, like a summary actually. We can even mention here that the heading could be, yeah, project name. Oh, actually here it has to be name, since it's a project name. Heading, project heading, summary, perfect. Mention the README heading or a small summary, perfect. So description, somewhere, well, you just describe a bit the library. Then here, PHP 7.1 or newer. Name, and here I will mention my right email, so it will work for Gravatar. But let's validate the email address maybe then. Also email, I will actually mention on the generator as well that also email is actually used also for Gravatar. Will be also used for your Gravatar. Perfect. URL, like for me it will be this. GitHub username. Perfect. License, again, MIT, so 1. And then let's have a look in our TMP. we have the new version. So now you see it works. We have the GitHub link is just here. This one didn't work for some reason. It's because let's have a look why. GitHub URL, because we can actually also use the variable mentioned here. So also URL, so it could actually be like this with the the reference link. But yeah, we can leave it as it is now, but I think if I mention this, yes, so let's replace with parentheses instead, so it will be like this. And we can also mention the email address, like you can contact me at, and that will be your email actually. So let's do that in our template. Here we just do also email, perfect. And then here you can contact me at also email, and we can make it as italic like this. GitHub username. So actually this one, yeah, I won't use that one probably. Let's remove that one. License URL, actually, yeah, we use it there. So yeah, we can also remove that one. GitHub URL, yeah, we can leave them here for now, but yeah, we don't really need actually GitHub reference links. So what you could just do is just paste, because this is just more complexity. So we can just do and it will be easier to read as well. We will avoid errors like what we got before. So GitHub URL will be here, and for us it will be this, and our, so you see it's the same, and for the image it will be that one. So we can maybe just leave GitHub image, maybe that's still easier to read, I would say. Yes, that sounds good. What else we can improve? I think that's good for now. Let's try again one more time. Project name, my project. Description, a great project. This project heading, sorry. Description, well, I don't know. Installation, so we said PHP 7.1, for instance. My name or your name, it's up to you actually. Your email, perfect. Web page, awesome. And actually, oh yes, it's required. I think I skipped it. Warning for some reason. So again, project name, project, summary, description, installation, PHP, my name, email, web page, username, license, yes. And now let's have a look to the new file, the new version. So this just again a little issue. What was the issue? I think if I use parentheses, it will work. Yes, because with the GitHub reference, yeah, there was an issue. So let's move just this like that instead. And the author email didn't get replaced because I think there was just an issue with the name of the variable. It wasn't author email, it was our email is, or it's just email actually. We can do author email then. And that's why actually it didn't work. Also email. And if we look here, we didn't have email. So now this one will be the same. Awesome. So one more time, my project, we are almost done. Summary, description, installation, well, PHP 7 on your author name, perfect, your name, your email here, your web page, perfect, your GitHub username, the license, and beautiful. So now let's have again a look. You see it looks really good. The email, normally this is supposed to be italic. I don't know why it doesn't show because that's bold. But it doesn't show the style actually, but that's fine. Description, summary. Yeah, it looks all good. So well done. This is all done and all finished. We can even commit the few issues we got when we were developing the last part. That's a newer version of Gravatar. So, and what else? That was the email, prompt requirements, you see. So we first commit for, I will do Gravatar, library, bomb, perfect. And now, you see that was the typo I had in the property names that I fixed. Also email, yes. Requirement, yes. Requirement. Here, that's actually for our heading. So we just change a little bit. And here as well, project name, you see, and the variable was supposed to be name, not heading because it's prompt name. Perfect. Here, prompt requirements, for the requirements of our library. That's the new method we created as well. I mean, I created without recording the video, but you can just, it's exactly the same as prompt description, except here it's for the requirements. That's it. Also email, yes. And that's the few changes we did in our README file. Awesome. So fix choose plus. Okay, enhancement, and we can just push the project now to GitHub, and we can actually have a look to the project right now. Let's see how it looks like. So you can actually see the code, the source code of the project here. So that's the repo actually. So it's github.com/ph-7 and then it's github-readme-generator-CLI. And yes, is. So congratulations and well done for this. I know that it was a long project. It wasn't easy. Sometimes, you know, you need to create a different library. Like in my case, I created also the Gravatar library because I thought why not to also build a Gravatar library, that one. But I know it can take time. But yes, if you have any questions or issues, you can just create an issue here on issues section of this repository. See you very soon. Bye bye. Hello everybody. So welcome again for a really small bonus because I wanted to show you how we can validate email addresses, and I didn't provide one. So I will show it to you here. Now I'm on Git code. It's a little bit different, but it will be exactly the same for us. So we want to validate email addresses. And how can we do that? So in our script in generator.php, we have here you see that was the method to validate is field. So that's the method actually that validates if we have a string and if the length is higher, is longer than 1. So we have longer than 0, so it's minimum 1 character. And for the email, which is that one, so if you look here, you see I check if it's a valid email address, and we want to validate, and if it's not, I will throw an exception. So the function will just return with a filter var. It will check if filter validate email is doesn't return false. So if it doesn't return false, it means it's an exception. And it's the same for the validate valid URL. We use as well filter var. I will show you on Safari what's filter var about. So let's go here. I have filter var. Beautiful. Let's click here. Actually, here I do a strict comparison because to make sure, because sometimes it could return something that could be false, but it's not false, such as a 0. Normally not, but with filter var, it's a little bit dangerous. So you have to do this, and if it's valid, it's a string. So if we do like this, usually it won't work because it could return a false. I think they mention it here. Strict email address, because I had that issue a few times, but apparently they don't mention it. So filter var, filter variable with a specified filter. So you have the value. So the value is like the email, the filter. So what's the filter you need, and then the option. So the filter for us, it will be the filter validate email. So you can use also with integer, boolean, and so on. And for us, it's this one. You see here, if the email is valid, it will return the email, and so it doesn't always return a boolean. Sometimes it's a string. Sometimes, if it's not valid, it's false. So that's why it's a good idea to use this one. It's not false. Yes, actually, that's other things. For us, we use a filter var because we have a variable. If you have a get, post, or another HTTP method, you can use filter input, but that's a little bit different. So yeah, it's quite nice. Now it validates. It's a basic way to validate an email or a URL. I think it doesn't check if it's a valid email, just if the format is more or less valid. So if you do like this, if your email is if your email is like Pierre@c, it will validate actually that one. Although it's not a valid email, but it doesn't care about the top level domain. So top level domain, yes. So the TLD, so the TLD is like .com, .co, .biz, .net, and so on. So it doesn't validate if it's a valid, if it's a valid TLD or not. That's for the URL, but for the email, it does the same actually. So yes, that's it. I think you will like it to be able to validate URL and the email. I updated my GitHub repo. So if you go here, I just remove this PHP. Where is it? README. Okay, here it is. I updated the repo. So when you wish, you can go to that repo and to see the new changes I added there. I also added some new unit tests. I will show you actually right now after. So if you check here, you see it's valid email, it's valid URL. And so for the license, I updated a little bit that one too. Now we don't use the switch statement anymore. We just use in array. So we make sure that here's the license type. So that's actually the word we want to look up. So it's or I will just turn on the battery. The battery of my laptop is running out. So okay, so now we are safe. Yes, 10%. So here we actually here's license type is the middle. So we make sure that the license type, what we receive, is exists in this array, which is codes, and we check if it exists. And if it does, we return actually from the key, so from the license type, we go to licenses, and we just return the code, which is the URL actually, because the license type will be like MIT, ISC, BSD, and so on, and so it will give the URL, because licenses array has all URL of each license. So it will be like gnu.org licenses/gpl.html, for instance. And if it's not, we just return the default URL. So that's the new change I've done, because before, I don't know if you remember, but before we had a switch statement. So if we check before, I will just go to that commit, for instance, and let's view file. You see, before we were doing it with a switch statement, and we would return the URL like this. However, it's cleaner to do to take the value of the array from the key we receive, and the key is actually license type, but we first check if it exists inside of the licenses array. And I added a test as well for licenses, for license test. So here we have a data provider, which is license code provider. That's the data provider we mentioned here. License code is actually the type of the license. And we made sure that for all valid license, it returns the default URL, which is licenses. So that's it for this bonus. I hope it's something I thought it was something you might like to know as well. And let's see in another video for building another really exciting project. See you very soon.